Actually, maybe I'll just...
No, we gotta save the twist for the end. The movie...
Slappy?
The movie taught us all about writing. A beginning, middle, and a twist.
And this was almost as self-indulgent as Shyamalan's writing.
As Lady in the Water.
Yeah.
Almost.
Wow, this movie is a huge R.L. Stein fan.
I was gonna say, like, you know, it's definitely Goosebumps because it's not
scary.
It's not that funny. It's not that scary, and it really thinks it's funny and scary.
Yeah.
And it loves sucking its own dick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, don't you know these are Goosebumps, man. You can't sleep for weeks, man.
Oh, no, that made me laugh because I'm like, that it's not Goosebumps.
Yeah, like, I think even, like, the most diehard Goosebumps fan is just like, no, I love these. Like, and I know people that love Goosebumps, but they're like, this is stupid. Like, I love them, I adore them, but they're not scary. They're not actually.
According to the kid in this movie, the kid who's like the cross between Shelley Duvall and Robin Gibb, he was scary as shit. He was scared. He's like, no, man, these aren't kids' books. Kids' books put you to sleep. These keep you awake.
Oh, yeah.
It could look like if you had combined Squints from The Sandlot with Eleanor Roosevelt.
That kid.
I feel sorry for that kid because I'm sure that like the movie cast him because they wanted a weird.
You're goofy looking, yeah.
Well, they didn't do him any favors either. It's like they kept playing it up. I'm like, this poor kid.
This movie, like, I mean, it'll certainly, I think it'll certainly have an audience. I'm certainly not it. Like, I don't have nostalgia for Goosebumps or R.L. Stein. I've read a few, like, I read the first couple Babysitter books. I read a couple of the Goosebumps ones, but I was allowed to read other things.
See, I'm with you. I could read Stephen King.
Same
I could
here,
read, you know, like, really good horror and stuff like that.
Goosebumps was kind of past our time anyway.
No, the books weren't. The show was. The show I was not the right age for, and I was just like, okay.
Well,
this
the books
is just
started coming out what, 88, so at least
Really? I first heard of R.L. Stein when I was in like 5th grade. So
Me
that
too,
would have been
yeah.
around 92, 91, 92.
Yeah.
So I mean, point being, well, you guys were in 5th grade. I would have been like 7th or 8th.
Older, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never got into R.L. Stein. I never thought he was scary or that great a writer. But like you said, there's an audience. It's for kids. Whatever. So this movie, the whole time I'm watching, I'm thinking like, this feels like it should have come out 20 years ago, but that. Well, it might be the intention.
It really did feel like a 90s movie.
It really did.
This has all of the lameness of the 90s. The only thing it needed a little more of was, like, the kids need to be, like, to the extreme.
They just need a dance number where, like, everyone just suddenly knew a song and all sung it.
They all start singing, I Put a Spell on You.
Yes.
That's again, like, this movie is also going to be nostalgic for people who really like movies like Ernest Scared Stupid, Hocus Pocus,
It's true.
Small Soldiers.
No, you're actually right.
Yeah.
Jumanji.
It was Jumanji.
Yeah.
The whole fucking movie was Jumanji crossed with like Gremlins or Small Soldiers.
Well, and the funny thing, here's the only thing that kind of like legitimately pissed me off about this movie is that, you know, I'm not a Goosebumps fan, but when I saw the trailer for it, I'm like, I like this idea. Like, this actually sounds like a clever, funny idea. If you show me this on paper...
Jumanji all over it.
No. If you show me this idea on paper, I'd be like, how do you do a Goosebumps movie? How do you do it? I'm like, that's a clever idea. And even sort of like just the layout of the story and everything, I'm like, this is a smart idea. But it doesn't treat it like, hey, we know Goosebumps is silly. We know it's, you know, actually not very good. They still treat it like it's amazing. And that's what bothered me about it. This had a real sense of humor about it.
Goosebumps really wasn't that.
Yeah, if they had a really good sense of humor about it, like, I would have really liked it, but they're like, the only good thing they had about it was the Stephen King.
It had a sense of humor about the Stephen King stuff.
Yeah.
Like when at the end, when he has to write a new Goosebumps book and he's doing it from this high school that's doing a play of The Shining. That's kind of funny.
What high school would do The Shining?
Because they can't do the gallows anymore. That's in bad taste. So, like, he's on, like, Jack Torrance's table.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was
very funny.
Him getting pissed off when he's compared to Stephen King. That was funny. Which that actually made me think, you know what would be a really good adult version of this movie is if this movie's about Stephen King and it's about all of Stephen King's characters.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that would've been awesome.
Christine comes out of the
And it actually stars Stephen King.
Yeah.
Because, like,
when
I
they
think
were
he'd be
going with the
funny.
twist, I was just like, I was talking to Brad, I'm like, this would have been a way better twist if it turns out the dummy created the R.L. Stein.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, that would have been awesome.
That twist would have made more sense than the one that's actually at the end of this movie, which...
Is there even really a
Spoiler.
twist? I
Like,
mean,
is it the Invisible Boy's still alive? But, like, I don't know why
it
he
still
did
makes
this.
no sense. Yeah, all
Yeah.
the monsters he wrote, all the monsters get sucked back into the
Yeah.
book, and it's just, you forgot to include the Invisible Boy.
But
How?
he said all of the monsters, and you need a key to open these books. But apparently,
puppet
all
gets
it
out.
Brad,
Yeah.
we need a sequel.
This I don't know how this movie.
The
will
Invisible
do.
Boy's gonna knock up some high school girl, have invisible
Oh my God,
children.
Jack Black in this movie is he's John Belushi from Neighbors, and they cross with Boo Radley.
I think
And
that's like,
basically doing Mark Hamill as Chucky. As the
Yeah.
I think it's just like a lost SNL character. I mean, especially when he has to do the serious scenes, but he still has this voice. No, you have to let me go. I'm like, no. You can't do that.
I thought he was
playing
fun.
the dummy. I was just laughing my ass.
That
off
was the
'cause
most fun,
I kept
yeah.
wanting to hear, no, Batman, no.
When he's just tossing flaming books out of the car. Like, this movie did have fun sequences in it. Honestly.
The gnomes are very funny.
Yeah.
The gnome scene
And
was
I was-
great.
And scary, too. They're
Yeah.
legitimately creepy.
Well, I was telling Brad, I'm like, this really needed to be a Joe Dante
Oh,
movie. 'Cause
yeah.
The gnome sequence was like something out of Gremlins, and it was
Yeah.
legitimately great.
This kind of movie I liked in the 90s, the 80s, like Joe Dante, so like Gremlins, and because they were just a little darker, a little more,
Yeah, a little more of an edge.
Yeah.
When he's shoving the freaking gnome down the garbage disposal, they'd fry them in the oven. I'm like,
that was
holy fuck!
that was great. The
I was
gnomes
like,
are in the
holy
oven
shit.
melting. When the abominable snowman gets sucked back up in the book, it was actually kind of horrifying.
Yeah, no, that was a really cool scene. I mean, I'm watching this thinking like, oh shit, it's this kind of movie. Because I was hoping it would kind of make fun of those, like, 90s movies and stuff. It's like, no, we're just going to be that, which is like, I can, in a strange way, kind of respect.
I honestly do.
I can see how that would catch on, but it's like, man, I wish it was making fun. We could have had, like, a legit good, funny, clever movie instead of, hey, we're going to be one of those movies that you could just put on, on DVD from 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I certainly I get the appeal of it. I absolutely do, and I was even sitting there like, even though this wasn't my cup of tea in the 90s, I'm like, I guess it's all right seeing another one of these around. It's not my thing, but it's kind of a throwback, okay, but it's not, like you said, it could have been darker and a lot more clever with the cheesiness of these books, and it's really not.
Because I think it's such a good idea. It's like, it would have been nice if it was more aware, and it was like, hey, it would have been nice if, like, we know what we're doing, and giving, like, it's one of those where I actually kind of wanted that little wink, like, hey, we know what we're doing.
When it had an actual energy to it, it had a real kinetic energy to it.
Yeah, when
I
he's
was like,
tossing flaming books out of the car.
Anything with the puppet was great.
Yeah, the scene with the gnomes, the ventriloquist dummy throwing, like, basically Molotov cocktails and outside and destroying the town. And even I thought the climax, there were certain scenes where I'm like, I really want to be invested in this because there's an actual energy to this. Like, at least the director knew it's like, okay, well, we're just going to have some fun and throw some, like,
the man just sucks out the bully. You leaned over to me and just went like, you just see his severed head fly.
Well, that was part of it. I kept waiting, like, I kind of wanted it to be more dark. Like, when that mantis shows up, like, there's some reaction shot from some girl who's, and she's like, oh my god, or something, and I was like, I really just wanted a holy fuck.
When, like,
right
a movie like Gremlins, though, is a universe in which people fucking die.
Yeah.
This movie wasn't that, because, like, for instance, when the kid gets sucked out by the mantis, like, okay, like, a movie like Gremlins, that kid would just not be seen again, and we would assume he's.
Well,
in this,
like
it shows him
Willy
at the
Wonka.
end, and in this, it shows him at the end, and he's fine. He's just in a cast, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like,
He lived.
But I mean, again, it's Goosebumps. I don't even know if he really killed anyone in the Goosebumps books.
I don't know.
You know, I mean, the
I
bits
felt
I
like
read.
when I was talking to you, I was like, these all feel like half-baked jokes.
That's a
There are
big
so many
problem I have
jokes
with
that,
this.
like,
They just
yeah.
kind of come and go, and you're just like, I feel like that was the setup for a better joke.
But
and
then
it
there's
never
like no
came.
punchline. Remember, there's a scene where it's like there's all these people are frozen and they're walking by, and the dorky kid's like, "Oh my god, my dad! Oh no, it's not my dad."
We just don't look at
What
each other
happened?
like
Was
that.
that the part where I just heard you at one point over sitting over there and you just went, comedy? That's the problem I have with this, because it is so much like one of these movies from the 90s that the jokes are even lame like one of those from the 90s. They're not, the jokes in this are nothing more than really simple, like, okay, Jack Black's fingers are broken. He gives a high five to the kid and he goes, ow, shouldn't have done that. It's that like wah wah jokes, like when Ken Marino is hitting on Amy Ryan and she's just like, not now, coach.
Oh,
Cut to
all
next-
right.
Okay, cut to next scene. It's like,
No Leavings Boxing Day Super Sale is on now.
on that, it's that like
Yeah.
that wah wah jokes, like when